All right, guys, welcome back in. One Piece SBS 112 has finally released. I wasn't really expecting this first thing in the morning, but here we have it. Oda's question and answer corner is here. So as it stands right now, I've read the first one or two of these questions and answers, but I've not read the rest. I kind of just downloaded them and said, hey, we'll go through this together. So with that being said, getting right into it, let's see, what do we have here? Okay, so this is the Roger Pirates one, but somebody asked Oda. They say, hey, what was Gabon's role in the Roger Pirates? And Oda says, I gave a general introduction to the Roger Pirates back in volume 96's SBS. But now, I'll introduce the main members and their roles. So of course we have Goldie Roger as the captain. First mate is Silver's Rayleigh. Gabon is the navigator. Okay. Yeah, Gabon is the navigator. Huh. Now I'm kind of interested, we should get a Nami and Scopper conversation. I wonder if he'll impart some wisdom to her. Next up, we have Moon Isaac Jr., who is the tactical officer. Crocus is, of course, the doctor. Helmsman is Don Kino. Don Kino, interesting name. It's like a little bit off from Don Quixote, huh? He's like their stepchild or something. We have the torturer or interrogator, Millet Pine. Torturer or interrogator? Huh, I guess pirate crews do need a torturer. I mean, if you're like a true and blue pirate and you're capturing people, yeah, you do need a torturer. Like, hey, where's the poneglyphs? Tell us right now. Where's your captain hiding? Where's the treasure? But really, a dedicated torturer. And it's actually the dwarf-looking dude. Okay. Man, I don't know why. That one, threw me for a loop a little bit. What the heck? I wonder if the Straw Hats will get a torturer. No, surely not, right? I don't feel like Luffy would actively search for that role. Like, in the East Blue, Luffy was like, hey, we need a cook, and we also need a musician. Never once has Luffy said, oh, we need somebody to torture people. That'd be crazy. Next up, we have Scholar, which is rowing, so that's like their Nico Robin. Informant, which is Ario. Okay, so this is like the guy that Shanks has, right? The guy who tosses him reports on pirates. Okay. Intelligence officer, Spencer. Wait, what? Informant and intelligence officer. Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, they are different. I conflated the two. Okay, informant and then intelligence officer Spencer. And then the gunner is Peter Moo, which is like their Usopp, I bet. And then we have musician, which is Jackson Banner. And then the shipwright is Blue Marine. Where's Nosbell? Yeah. Whoa. What happened to the fish guy? Oda left him out. I guess he's not a main member then, huh? Damn, that sucks. Okay, not bad. I like seeing this right here, If we're not gonna get their actual roles pronounced in the series, I love just hearing about it in SBSs or even in supplementary material like this. Yeah, I think this is a big W. Okay, so next up we got... Okay, not that. I just saved that as a meme. This one right here. Is the man with sunglasses who appeared in chapter 1096 Gil Bastar? Yes, he's a hidden character. Actually, he is the protagonist of a manga I drew when I was 17. How did you figure that out, LOL? So, this Gil Bastar of the Rocks Pirates had his corpse retrieved by Gecko Moria. And he appeared during the Thriller Bark arc on chapter 450. He's the kind of character you're totally fine not noticing. I didn't notice this. I didn't even notice this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we saw this guy, we thought this was Wang Ji, right? Gil Bastar. So isn't Gil Bastar the Sanji-looking guy? I think that name rings a bell. Let me look it up on my phone real quick. One Piece Gil Bastar. Yeah, that's the Sanji-looking dude. A lot of people make shorts and, they make theories about this guy saying, oh, like this is Sanji's original art or etc., right? But no, it was one of Oda's original designs for a main character. But I did not think that this would be Gil Bastar. And how would this zombie be Gil? How did this guy notice that? Sometimes I do have like a conspiracy theorist in me that says, oh, that's not a real reader asking the question. That's Oda doing it. Oda just wants to drop this lore, so he's pretending to be the reader. I think this is one of those cases, man. What the heck? Okay, so next up, Odachi, hello. The Pirate King's left hand, Scopper Gabon, was the name taken from space Sheriff Gabon. I used to watch it on TV as a kid. Oda says, oh, a fellow from the same generation. I've been asked this by many people, but my intent was different. I've always loved old movies, and I sometimes borrow names from actors in the past. In this case, Gabon came from an old, cool French actor named Jean Gabon. That is where I got the name from. Okay, that's cool. I like seeing inspirations like this because Oda has talked about old movies in the past and how they inspire certain characters. Like Sanji is Pink from Reservoir Dogs. Obviously, all the admirals are based on actors as well. So it looks like Gabon is joining that list. And also we have, shoot, well, what's that one guy's name from the Marines that nobody really cares about? Shoot, my best friend, man, he loves this character. Oh, God. No way. How am I actually blanking on this? I gotta look it up. Bogard. Bogard was inspired by Humphrey Bogart. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Okay, yes. So yeah, Oda loves his movies, and I like just seeing these inspirations. I haven't watched this actor before, but maybe I'll throw on one of his films later on. Next up, we have this. They say, I really love the atmosphere of the village of Elbaf. Is there a country or town where it was modeled after? Oda says, I'm really glad to hear that. The design of Elbaf took quite a long time. Thank you very much. As for the model, of course, I based it primarily on buildings from the Viking era in Northern Europe, Scandinavia. From there, I imagined the culture and geography. It's actually the same village that was in volume 86. Oh, huh. Wait, volume 86. Wasn't that Big Mom? But I drew it from an angle that it wouldn't reveal that it was on top of a giant tree. Yes, that is the Big Mom flashback then. So, we already expected this, right? We already knew that he was inspired by Viking era culture, Northern Europe, Norse mythology, etc. But I do like that he, in parentheses right here, he puts Scandinavia. You know, hey, sorry guys, you know, I talk about One Piece all the time, so whenever I hear Scandinavia in One Piece, I'm like, wait, Nami? Because Nami, you know, back when Oda revealed where each Straw Hat would be from, he did say Nami would be from Scandinavia, so, you know, there's something about Scandinavia, man, something in the water. But yeah, I'm curious to see how that's all going to tie in, and let me know, if you live in Scandinavia, is there a tree the size of the Atom Tree there? I would love to hear down below. So, next question, they say, Odachi, I want to see what Garrett and Goldberg look like when they were young. Oh, that's cool. Oda says, all right, I've received many questions about the new giant... Has he? I've received many questions about these guys, including their childhood, so I'll summarize it here. I mean, yeah, I'm curious too. I'm curious. I'd probably ask, but really though, a lot of questions about the new Giant Warrior Pirates. Okay, so Hiruden, Captain, height 22 meters, age 81, favorite food, meatballs. Okay. Now we have Stanson, occupation shipwright, 19.8 meters, age 81, favorite food, Battlefront meals. So MREs, okay. Next we have Road, occupation navigator, height 26. Is that 26? Yeah, 26. Age 63. Sorry, it's like far down there for me. Like right here on screen, it's like perfectly clear, but for me, I have to like scoot over a little bit. You know, my Asian eyes are failing me. Favorite food, berry pie. Gerd is the doctor, 17 meters tall, age 78. Favorite food, Hamburg and macaron. Oh, sorry, not macaron, macaroni. Goldberg is the last one. He is the cook, 21 meters high, age 83. Favorite food is a roasted ram. I'm assuming they mean ham, but ram is also a thing too, so I'm not too sure. And now we have pictures of them all as kids, and yeah, they do look pretty cool. Let me see. Oda wrote some text down here. Oh, the zoom in is kind of scuffed on this one. Let's see here. Note, 2 years ago, Stanson's picture is shown from Saboti. 63 years ago, we have Kid Harden, Stanson, and Gerd. And then we have Kid Road. Yeah, so more or less, we've kind of already seen all these characters before. Okay. Cool. Next up, the next question says, the pirate crew that appears in chapter 1122, is that, in quotation marks, the legendary pirate crew, right? Oda says, yes, that's right. Where did they come from and why? LOL. How should I explain this? LOL. Double LOLs, huh? For those who are interested about this, please search it on the internet. So in a certain Jump project more than 25 years ago, these characters were based from my hip the skull curry. Wait, did I read that right? Okay, I did not have a stroke. I read that correctly. Alongside with Nobuhiro Watsuki Sensei, Rurouni Kenshin author, Skibitar, and Take Hiroyuki-san's Shaman King's author, Hiro Gomon, and they are the ones who formed the pirate crew. Yeah, funny enough, when we first saw this chapter, okay, I know what they're talking about now, yeah. Sandman, or I believe it was even Pew Piece, they posted this connection right away, so that's pretty cool. So we already talked about this, but yes, this is like a self-insert. You know, it breaks the fourth wall a little bit, which is really cool. You know, and that's what I've been saying, right? Since we are in the final saga, we are going to see a lot more references and wacky things, like going all the way back here to this guy, right? Gil Bastar. Like, that's a nice little Easter egg. This right here is another nice little Easter egg. I feel like we'll get more and more of this as the series goes on, because Oda's not going to have any more chances to do things like this, right? So yeah, expect a lot more references to old things. So next up, we have this right here. They say, hello, Oda-san. What are the Dosundada question. Are they a tribe of mixed race between giants and dwarves, or maybe ancient giants and dwarves? And that is what we guessed when we saw the chapter, and Oda says, quite close. The correct answer is it's a mixed race between humans and dwarves. The name of the dwarf tribe, Tontada, came from the cute sounds of their footsteps. If you raise the sound volume a bit more, it becomes Dosundada. The mixed race between a giant and a dwarf is called Zushindodo. They're very rare. Okay, so Tontadas are one thing, but you amp them up and they become Dosundadas, and then if you amp them up even more, it's Zushindodo. Funny enough, this naming scheme reminds me of what we got back on Fishman Island with that one hammer shark, and as he upgrades his attacks and as they get stronger and stronger, he's like, Dosun!
Named attacks keep getting upgraded.
Alright, yeah, this is pretty on the money with what we all kind of guessed, right? We just have Oda pretty much confirming it, but a giant and a dwarf, ooh, what? How would that even work? Like, God, I can't imagine giving birth. I mean, if you're a giant woman, you pop out someone this tiny, but also, if you are a giant man going into a small woman, you kind of just drown her in a pool. Hey, low beat for me. One Piece is wacky like that. Okay. Moving on. Question. Oh, what does that say? Oh, that's the name of the person. Tsubasa Maru. Hello, Odachi-san. Because Ripley and Garrett are giants, are their cup sizes W, as in the World Cup? The hard-hitting questions, man. I like to imagine they just scale it up, but, this is, a genuine thing. This is world building. Oda says, ooh, that's a good one. LOL, that's so stupid. So stupid, yet it's the best. Let's go with that, you see. I've received a lot of questions. I've received a lot of questions about Garrett and Ripley's cup size. Well, if I'm going to calculate it, the busts of the female giants are more than 6 meters. What cup size are they? They asked. Hell if I know up until now. Tsubasa Maru-kun. I like to put kun in there now. The pen name of the question sender. Let's go with that. The breast size of every female giants are all W. They're all World Cups. Tsubasa Maru, huh? Taking one for the boys. Love to see it. Oh, we got 3 questions. Okay, wait, what? Yeah, okay, so this is 3 back to back to back. All right. Lock in. Sanada, who is a reoccurring guest in these SBS corners, says, every after I finish reading One Piece. Oh, I'm assuming they mean even after I finish reading One Piece. My mind is full of Nami and her boobs. Okay. We've entered the boob segment of the SBS. People underestimate sometimes how much of a gooner Oda really is. You know, I'm like, hey guys, like, Oda's, he's one of us. And then people are like, no, Oda doesn't do that. But, just come to these SBS corners, man. Oda says, shut up, Sanada. Now the reader says, Vegapunk's cousin, Vegapants, is in pants, underwear, hazard. But what kind of island is it, and what type of person is he? Huh? Vegapunk's cousin, Vegapants, is in Pants Hazard. But what kind of island is Pants Hazard, And what kind of person is he? Did we just like cook up a brand new character here? Oda says, you knew about that island, huh? What? You knew about that, huh? Vegapants is the son of Vegapunk's father's little brother. Consequently, they live on Pantsu Hazard, which is located at the south of the kingdom of Baltimore. No way this is going to actually be canon. It's an island where the residents have a culture of wearing women's underwear over their heads. He has an earnest and bright personality, but the island itself is set apart from the rest of the world. That brings back some memories, ... Okay. I'm pretty sure Oda's memeing here, but because he doesn't say it's a joke anywhere in this answer, Vegapantsu is kind of canon. Hey, low be it for me to say, but Pants Hazard is now located in the New World next to Baltimore. So, the third question says, Emu's first-person pronoun is mu. So Adachi's first-person pronoun should be da, right? And Oda says, oh, it seems like it, lol. So you came up with a rule like that, huh? So you came up with a rule like that, huh? So that's interesting. Whenever Oda answers a question like that with like another question, sometimes it could have more meaning to it. It's not all the times, but sometimes it's like one of those things you put in your back pocket and you revisit later. But yeah, Emu does take out the I, so it becomes mu. So Oda becomes da. I wonder if that's a hint towards a future name, or potentially what the D stands for, or how they got the D in the first place. So next up, how many more do we have? Sorry, I'm gonna skip ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. Were we on this one? Yeah. Odachi, in the Elbaf arc, those strange animals from the movie Strong World keep on appearing. Okay, I'm glad somebody mentioned it, because this right here was one of the main reasons why Shiki was such a prominent theory at the beginning of Elbaf. It's because we had the Strong World monsters here. They say, I really love the idea of them being incorporated into the main story. And Oda says, that's right. I've designed a lot of animals for that movie, and those animals made their appearance here in Elbaf. Well, coming up with something new is trouble. I mean, those animals were created based on the theme of what would animals look like if they evolved in a world where strength governs everything. So it actually made things quite easy. No. I also had the idea that animals based in a warrior nation would be similar, so I made them appear here. It's definitely not because I'm too bothered to think of something new, okay? I like that. I'm not lazy, guys. I just, I had it in front of me and I just wanted to reuse it for story purposes. It fits in well. No, I like that. And to be honest, like, if you go through the Strong World concept art, Oda had a lot of animals that he didn't even bring into the movie. So if he took more of those animals and brought them here into Elbaf, I mean, would we really be upset, right? And then plus Strong World isn't exactly canon, right? It's like a non-canon movie. So yeah, bring them back in, man. Make them canon. Make these animals reappear. So, next question says, Oda Sensei, I'm a boy who's about to enter middle school. What? And they're caught up to One Piece? Bro, that's dedication. A middle schooler caught up to One Piece? 1,000 chapters? I have a question for you, Sensei. I am hooked to One Piece right now. I love Kizaru, my guy. My dad owns up to volume 82 of the manga, and I've been reading them. I want him to buy volume 83 onwards, but do you have a good strategy suggestion for that? Please teach me. Teach me how to convince my dad to buy manga volumes? I like that. Oda, how do I guilt trip my dad into buying more One Piece volumes? So because he sent this in SBS 112, I'm assuming he has like a online membership to read One Piece and he simply wants the physical copies now. But yeah, that's cool. That's sweet, man. Seeing a little kid read One Piece. Oda says, oh, come on. This makes me want to buy it for you. I feel like Oda would. Yeah, if there's like an address attached, I feel like most people would donate to this kid so he can buy it. I think I would too. Just, here's $10, Next volume's on me, son. So, to all the young boys who read through over 100 volumes of the manga without losing interest, I wish I could buy it for every one of you. But since that is not realistic, you should go with the shoulder massage strategy. There's no parent that wouldn't be happy from getting a massage from their child. Volume 82 is exactly where Momonosuke vows to avenge his father. Once your dad's shoulder and heart has softened, you should say, "Father, I want to defeat Kaido." That should do the trick. "Dad, I want to know what happens to Kaido, please." And then the dad's like, "Well, fine, sure." Next question, Oda-san. Did you ever thought that One Piece serialization is stretching because of the influence of Luffy's awakening to its surroundings? Oda says, "What? Damn it. So that's how it works, huh? Damn it, Luffy. Unforgivable. Da. Will not forgive you." Oh, throwback to the emu question. Next question. The speech recognition ability of the transponder snail that's besides Loki. How does it differ from the other transponder snails? Oda says, well, Loki is restrained, right? The reason someone can answer this transponder snail without using their hands is because this particular transponder snail can understand a bit of human language and is able to connect calls on its own. It's the same when making calls. It can be activated similarly to saying, "Hey Siri." Oh, okay, I don't want to say that too loudly. I got a phone right here. I don't want to say that. But yeah, I like that. This is just one of those things where it's like, he didn't have to explain it, but it is like a genuine question. Like, bro, how does Loki pick up the phone? I mean, the next question, genuinely, should be, how does Loki use the bathroom, right? Did the guards let him stand up and walk him to a tree? Or does he just soil the Atom Tree? I don't know. All right, next question. Could it be that Shirahoshi's type is me? And Oda says, I cannot deny that, but I know what Shirahoshi's future is, okay? Nice, I like that. Shirahoshi, don't forget, guys, she's gonna be important. Question. So, in SBS Volume 28, oh, throwback, you said the highest record for an eye pop is 18. What's an eye pop? Whoa, you surprised me. So that's the current highest record for an eye pop, and how many, whoa, you surprised me, is it? Did it break the world record? And Oda says, let me explain. When I draw manga, I make the same faces as my characters. So, someone asked me, do you do eye pops too? Oh, like the cartoon gag where, Luffy goes gear 5th and the eyes just jump out. To which I said, it pops in 18. Whoa, you surprised me. And the world record would be 84. Whoa, you surprised me. Apparently, that's the current world record. Right now, when I drew Nika, I've set an unprecedented record of 222. Whoa, you surprised me's. Thank you very much. You lost me there, but I got you. I get the gist of that one. And I believe this is that's the last one right here. Odachi, why is Gunko walking around in her panties? Oda says, well, I keep getting comments like, it's panties this, panties that. But listen, it is technically underwear. But if we can even call it that, then that would make Gunko some kind of pervert. That's not the case at all. Nami and Bonnie's outfits on Egghead Island. It's a fashion where the hems of their jackets are extended. In fact, it reduces the amount of skin that's being exposed. So that outfit is totally fine. How rude. He avoided Brook. When talking about panties, you always gotta bring up Brook. And that was one of the main reasons why we all thought that Gunko was wearing panties in the first place. The minute we heard her listening to Brook's New World song, it was like, oh, it's a Brook thing. But Oda kind of, skeeted away from that whole topic, right? He didn't mention Brook. He didn't mention any backstory. No. He just said, oh, it's a fashion choice. I like that. I do wonder, is it a subconscious fashion choice? Or is it like true and blue, just a coincidence? I do wonder a little bit. But yep, that right there is the SBS Corner, you guys. Thank you so much for being here and checking it out with me. I really freaking appreciate it. Let me know, what was your favorite SBS question and answer? Personally, I'm trying to think. Actually, are there more SBS questions? I guess I should have checked our tour, because our tour also goes around and translates them. But so far, I think mine is definitely going to be the first one. I do like hearing about the Roger Pirates and what they're doing. Okay, I'm pulling up our tour's Twitter right now. All right, so he has not posted anything about the SBS yet. So that is all good and dandy. Let me just double check Piece as well. I don't know, I feel like last time I did one of these videos, I missed out on like 2 or 3 questions, and I don't want that to happen again. Because I think the 2 or 3 questions I missed out on were kind of important, but no, it does look like I got everything. Okay, if I missed something, man, I'm gonna be so sad. One thing I do want to point out, though, I do want to talk about this in future videos, and I just want to talk about it here a little bit too. But we did get some volume changes in 112. Why am I saying 112? In volume 112. And that is with Gunko and Shamrock. So Shamrock officially now has the Saint title. I always thought it was kind of implied because he's the son of Garling. But Oda went back to the introduction box and he added in the Saint title for him specifically. So now it's Saint Shamrock. And then as far as Gunko goes, this is a massive one. But Gunko, funny we left off on a Gunko question and now here we are. But Gunko now also has the Saint title, which I think is huge. That blows pretty much every theory about Gunko out of the water. Like, no holds bar, man. Because a lot of theories stem from Gunko not having the Saint title. Like, oh, she was a slave. She was bred for this. Maybe she was with Mother Carmel. Does she even have a family name that she knows about? There were so many theories that stemmed from Gunko's odd introduction. I mean, hell, there was even a theory that it was a Ginny clone or a Bonnie clone. But that all got disproven or, really hazy with the introduction of Gunko's Saint title. And not just that, but we actually now know her celestial dragon family name. And it's Manyer. Guys, remember back in God Valley when we got that name drop? That was massive, right? We heard about the Manyer family back then. And we saw like this character that was kind of shaded in a little bit. They had their tongue out, but they had a hat and a gun. I was like, okay, like Manyer, like, will they be important? Are they a holy knight? We don't really know. But here we have it. Gunko is from that specific family. And I'm just kind of curious to see how that works now. Like, the person we saw at God Valley, which was 38 years ago, is that Gunko's daughter, sister, mom, nephew, niece? Because it's weird, right? Because Gunko has not really aged, right? Gunko should be damn near over 90 years old right now. Well, okay, maybe not over 90, but she should be like in her late 70s, 80s-ish. But she's young here. So because of that oddity, it does make it weird thinking about characters from the same family. I mean, hell, we had this conversation with Jupiter and St. Somers. They're from the same family. Somers looks older, but is he actually older? Right? Because there could be a chance that Jupiter was just stopped at a certain age and he's actually older than Somers despite looking younger than Somers. So yeah, the same thing applies here. Is Gunko older than the Manyer we saw at God Valley, or younger than the Manyer we saw at God Valley? And speaking of the Manyers, how did Gunko get brainwashed? Like, did Emu knowingly brainwash a fellow celestial dragon? Was Gunko like the black sheep of the family and they simply offered her up to Emu? Was Gunko rebellious? Like, maybe Gunko was growing up and was like, oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to listen to Brook and do yada yada. And then Emu and the Celestial Dragon said, oh, we gotta wipe her memories away. Like, we can't have that up here in the Holy Land. Because I could see that as well. And also, when did the Manyers join the Holy Land? Like, were they originally one of the 19 kingdoms? Did they join in Gunko's era and they had to offer up Gunko as a tribute? There's just so many questions regarding this. And what's really cool about the Manyers specifically is that in the One Piece live action, shout out to Artur again, second time we're bringing him up. But Artur tweeted out a behind the scenes photo from the set. And in the live action, there's actually going to be a Celestial Dragon Manyer Easter egg in Logtown, where the Manyers own like a shopping district or something. And I thought that was super cool that Oda's tying the Manyers in this way. So we know, like, this family is going to be very important. One way or another, man. This is not the last we've heard of the Manyers, and here we have it. With volume 112, Gunko is being retroactively given the Manyer name. But yes, that is it for today, guys. Let me know what you thought about this chapter. Let me know what you thought about this SBS down below. I'd love to hear that. Also, shout out to my chat, Kuro. You can't escape me, buddy. He's been hanging out on my desk the entire time. I'm sure you guys saw him in the corner here. But yes, you guys take care. Have a great day. And I'll see you later. Peace out, brothers.